In the year 1950, the average family income in America was $3,300. The average cost of a house was $7,300, just over twice as much as the average income. The average cost of food per month for a family was between $30 and $50 per month. The average cost of a gallon of gas was 27 cents. The inflation rate was just 1.9%. The homelessness rate wasn't even tracked, as it was too low to calculate. In 2023, the median personal income was $42,000, and the average sales price of a home was $495,000, over 10 times as much as an average American income. The average monthly cost of food ranged from $1,000 to $1,500, and the average cost of a gallon of gas grew to $3.49. The inflation rate was 4.1%, and the homeless population skyrocketed to 653,000 people. Americans today, especially the younger generations, know nothing of the economic prosperity that once defined the American dream. Being able to build a family, buy a house while you're young, and put your kids through college all on one income is completely beyond the grasp of the average American today. In 2023, 66% of families were dual-income households, and by the early 2010s, about half of U.S. college students were burdened with an average of $25,000 in loan debt. Since 1950, not only has personal debt, homelessness, general disparity, and the cost of a home increased dramatically, but surprisingly, the productivity of the American worker has increased by 254%. Americans are working harder and getting less. If Americans are producing more value than in previous decades, why is it harder than ever to live a comfortable life? In 2023, about 1 in every 6 jobs was occupied by an immigrant or a visa holder. In any labor market, as the supply of available labor increases, wages decrease. However, the income of newly arrived immigrants is estimated to be 17% lower than the income of native-born Americans. These immigrants are willing to work for less, which drives wages down even further. Also, when an employer hires an illegal alien, they must be hired off the books, which provides employers several incentives for hiring illegal immigrants. Employers do not have to pay illegal aliens a minimum wage. They don't have to provide them benefits like health care or retirement. They don't have to give them vacation or workers' comp. If you ran a business, why wouldn't you hire illegals? The typical American loses 27 to 30% of their paycheck to taxes. If you go to any city in America, everything is dirty. The parks are overrun with homeless people, police aren't doing their job, and people are being murdered on public transportation. It's a nightmare. Where is all of our tax money going?
Governor Gavin Newsom Tuesday signing a measure to provide health care to low-income, undocumented immigrants. President Trump opposes those subsidies and says U.S. citizens come first.
There's no evidence that bringing people into this country makes the rest of us richer.
How can we afford to give billions of dollars to illegal immigrants in this country, but we've got to go back to the well to provide for our own citizens? That's a disgrace.
Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel.
In 2023, $3.8 trillion, or 60% of the federal budget, was spent on entitlement programs. $1.1 trillion was spent on welfare programs alone. A 2018 study by the Center for Immigration Studies found that 63% of non-citizen households are the beneficiary of at least one welfare program. For comparison, only 35% of native-born American households are on welfare.
Approached yesterday by a non-English speaking member of the community now, one of our new residents, that apparently purchased my home. I was not aware. I'm getting pushed out of my home by someone that can't speak my language and doesn't know the law and doesn't know the rules. But I want to know where the resources are for us. I had to take a pay cut of a fourth of what I made. And now on top of that, I'm being asked to leave my home by someone that can't communicate this to me. We're getting pushed out of this community.
While almost twice as many non-citizen U.S. residents per capita are on welfare, U.S. citizens are responsible for around 85% of the tax burden. In 2021, an estimated 300,000 illegal aliens who arrived in the country were minors. Nationally, the average cost of education per student in public school is around $13,100. This means that Americans spend around $4 billion per year on educating illegal alien children. This doesn't even take into account the extra spending that goes towards language support, counseling, parental education, and gang prevention programs. Immigrants also put an oversized burden on the public transportation system. Only 9% of native-born U.S. citizens use public transportation on a regular basis. However, 25% of the immigrant population regularly uses public transportation. In 2022, 15% of workers in the retail industry were immigrants. It is estimated that out of the 152,396 convenience stores in the United States, over 60% of them are owned by people of Indian descent. Over 20% of workers in the agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting industries are foreign-born residents. In the crop production industry, a staggering 57% of workers are immigrants.
Of those workers, 54% or 31% of all crop production workers are illegal aliens.
Just in California alone, about 570,000 immigrants hold jobs in food production and distribution. Almost 30% of all construction workers are immigrants. In California, Texas, and Washington, D.C., over 40% of all construction workers were born outside of the United States. The share of immigrant workers is higher in certain sectors of the industry. Of all roofers, carpet, floor installers, painters, and paper hangers, and drywall and ceiling tile installers, 45 to 49% of these workers are immigrants. Immigrants are not just taking over the blue-collar industries. Over 21% of all professional and business service workers are immigrants. These are not just legal immigrants either. Since 2007, the share of illegal workers in the professional industries grew by over 13%. According to a 2015 Pew Research Center study, immigrants are 1.7 times more likely to be employed in the administrative services industry than native-born citizens. Jobs in this industry include office management, human resources, and even reception. At least 28% of all law firm associates come from a diverse racial and ethnic background. 38% of all accountants come from a diverse racial and ethnic background. And over 44% of all active physicians come from a diverse racial and ethnic background. A staggering 70% of all tech workers in Silicon Valley are immigrants, and based on industry reports, it is estimated that 21 to 28% of those workers are H-1B visa holders. These are all jobs that Americans once held, jobs which allowed them to raise a family off of a single income. These are jobs that made it possible for a family to buy a home, put their children through college, and take an annual vacation, all on a single income. Today, with mounting debt, rising costs of living, and a lack of high-paying job opportunities, Americans are often opting out of parenthood altogether. The American dream was once a simple opportunity. It was the financial stability that built the middle class. It is what allowed couples to marry young and grow old, with 4, 5, or even 6 children. It was the white picket fences and the growing suburbs. It was knowing your neighbors and telling your children to be home before dark and trusting that they would be okay. It was all of these things that defined our lives not all that long ago. That American dream, which we all grew up believing in, was sold off to the third world, and at our expense, given to whoever could do your job for less. Look around you. Are things really better now than they once were?